Published 0837 EDT, the 18th of September 2017. Updated 11:51 EDT, the 18th of September 2017. Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish has broken his silence on the Frank de Boer sacking and insists it would have been negligent of him not to act in the manner he did after 4 Premier League defeats on the bounce. The Eagles took the time appointing a new boss in the summer following Sam Allardyces' shock departure in May and missed out on the prime targets Marco Silva, who is now with Watford, and former Leicester boss Claudio Ranieri. Instead, they had to settle for de Boer, and the Palace co-owner confessed to muddled thinking in the Dutchman's appointment. Crystal Palace chairman Steve Parish admitted he regrets ever appointing Frank de Boer Palace dawdled in appointing a new boss and missed out on key targets before hiring de Boer. The former Ajax coach lasted just 77 days at Selhurst Park after Palace became the first team to lose the first 4 top-flight matches without scoring a goal since Preston in the 192,425 season. Palace acted swiftly after giving de Boer the boot and replaced him with former England boss Roy Hodgson last week. Parish initially avoided the subject of de Boer and made no reference to the Dutchman's quick-fire sacking in his programme notes on Saturday before the 10 defeat by Southampton, which handed them another unwanted accolade, the worst start to a top-flight season in English football history. But Parish has now told Holmesdale Radio obviously results weren't good, and I can understand people saying that 4 games wasn't enough. But Frank was here from July 1st and in the end, I didn't think it was going to work. We could have gone on longer, but if that then produced the outcomes I thought it was going to, that just kind of makes me negligent, really. You know what you open yourself up for when you make the change, but I can't sit there thinking people will say it is not long enough, or people will say didn't you think it through in the summer. I can't let but make the decision. De Boer lasted 77 days at Selhurst Park after making worst league start since 192,425 seasons. The decision has to be, what is the bigger picture and is this going to improve, and based on 2.5 months really, not just 4 games. I didn't think it would work, and I regret that. I regret the fact that it didn't work for Frank as much as it didn't work for the football club, but it didn't. I felt I had to make the change. Alan Shearer was one of many who have slammed the Palace board for the lack of homework on de Boer before bringing him into the club, and ranted on Match of the Day about the messy situation Palace have found themselves in. But Parish fired back at his critics, saying actually, it was the one we had the most time for and possibly almost agonized over it too much, and it kind of became almost muddled thinking. Because we took too long, we lost some options as well, and it is difficult for me to talk too much about what went on in that period and the thinking and what we did, but Frank impressed me when I met him and we talked a lot about what we were, and at the time I felt it was time to change. Palace acted swiftly to replace de Boer with former England boss Roy Hodgson last week, but the Fortunes didn't change as Stephen Davis scored the only goal on Saturday, which now means Palace have made worst start to a top-flight season in English football history, and maybe there was a bit of a disconnect about what could be achieved in the time possible. That's not about spending money. It is just about that the leagues are being very different, and maybe what Frank thought he could achieve in a shorter space of time wasn't going to happen. If you look back to the second half of Ipswich when we went back to 433, and Burnley when we went to 433, with the people we had, clearly that was the best way for us to play. And Frank was perfectly capable of coaching a team to play that way. We did okay against Burnley, but at the time we were in a bit of a cycle and I felt we needed to make a change.